Hello, two heads up here. Welcome to a different kind of guide. This time how to correctly determine the price of an item on Zybez. Now, unfortunately, what I'm noticing a lot of people are doing is looking at this recent trade price value and using that to determine the actual price of an item. And this recent trade price value is usually completely incorrect, and you should ignore it like I do all the time and focus actually on how many people are currently buying and selling the item and for what price and how many. So that's a lot of things to pay attention to, so I'll repeat it. You pay attention to at what price people are buying or selling the item for currently, and when I say currently, within the hour. How many are people buying, how many are people of the item are they buying or selling for? So we've got, for example, we got people buying for 4,000, 2,200, 30,000, so a lot. People are buying a lot. That's the main idea to get from that. And then finally you compare to how many people are buying versus how many people are selling within the hour. Now let's start off with, this is 1 hour, which is more like 2 hours ago. So we can start off from here, but realistically you start off anywhere from here is like an hour and 30 minutes, hour and 40 minutes. So we'll start from here though. So we've got our buyer here buying 8,000 for 230. We got someone selling next to none. People buying, selling, and then more people just buying, and there aren't any sellers currently. And right now you can see that there's, right now someone just posted buying 4,000 for 235 each. And so to determine what the actual value of this item is, this is in what we call a seller's market. That is, there's a high demand for an item and there aren't enough sellers. So it's a seller's market if you decided to sell this item right now. You look at the highest price someone is willing to pay for a decent amount. 4,000 coal is a decent amount of coal for a decent amount of the item. And then you add on a higher price to that. So this guy right now is buying for 235 each. You can say, okay, I can easily sell this coal for 240, 245 each. Since it's a seller's market, you know, I'm the only seller. If you want to buy the coal, you're gonna have to be the first one to buy it. And that's exactly the thoughts that are running through all these buyers' minds. So that's how you correctly determine the current value. 235 each, and 230, 220, 230, 235 each is a lot different from when someone tells you you're trying to sell coal and someone tells you, oh, it's only worth 220 gold each. That's wrong. There aren't any sellers. How can it be worth 220 gold each when there's not a lot of sellers? And this is also a great example of how to determine when the price of an item has the potential to really skyrocket. So now let's start off. I'm going to try and make this as clear as possible. Now we go back to July. And we can see throughout August 1st, the price of coal between buying and selling is pretty much a straight line. It goes up and down, up, and then levels off. And then after August 1st, it takes off gradually. It takes off gradually, and then stays at this 270 each, 280 each price here. And then it gradually starts to drop again, very similar to the pattern we see of it gradually rising from August 1st to August 7th. It's gradually dropping again. And now, it has its ups and downs. It's right now, due to the graph, it's leveled off. But you can see there are a lot of people buying right now. It's leveled off. We can definitely expect a pattern, the graph to rise within the next several days. The price of coal to rise in the next several days, possibly to, I would say at least 250, 260 each. More realistically, 270 each. And this is an example of a seller's market. Now let's go to a different example of what we call a buyer's market. Now, pay no attention to this recent trade price. I'll only bring it up for example to show how wrong it is. So we see a graph there. Let's get back to that later. Now you can actually see my post here. I'm trying to buy a few for the price I want. So let's look at this. Within the last hour, so this is approximately right here, this is 2 hours ago. Even if we go back 2 hours ago, we have a lot of people selling and very, very few buyers. Really, it's only me and this other guy way down here 2 hours ago almost for 320 each. So he's got the right idea. Yeah, blood runes are around 320 each. I ain't paying a ton of money when I'm the only buyer here. And that's the idea you should have in a buyer's market. There are tons of sellers. I don't need to overpay. Someone will sell me for the price I'm asking for if it's reasonable. Now, let's look at within the past hour. We'll go to 59 minutes, so I know it's an hour. So we've got someone selling 30,000 for 400 each, obviously some botting mercher. We've got guy selling for 320 each, so he's wanting to sell his 370, 380, 360, and then it's slowly dropping to 350 each. Now, you take your price from what we did before. We had a guy selling 3,000 here for 320 each. So 320 each seems to be the price that lowest price that people are willing to sell a decent amount. 3,000 blood runes, it's a decent amount of blood runes. To sell a decent amount of blood runes for, they're willing to post selling for 320 each. So you can look at that and say, well, I can pay a little less than 320 each. I can pay, 310, 315 each, and I should definitely be able to find a seller. And that's what I've done in this case. I'm not logged online right now. I've remade this video several times, but I'm really liking how it's going now. Much more organized. Now let's continue. So once again, this is an example of a buyer's market. And that's how you determine the current price of blood runes in this case. You take, once again, the lowest price someone is willing to sell a reasonable amount for, a decent amount for. So 3,000 opposed to 700. 700 is not a lot of blood runes. So you don't really pay attention to these selling prices that people are selling like 144, like, who's going to bother their time trying to buy 144 blood runes? Like no one. 450. It's usually 1K each or more. That's what you pay attention to. And can you guess why the prices of blood runes are dropping right now? It's because God Wars is a set in stone thing. It's definitely going to be pulled on, and more likely than not, it's going to pass. So and who uses mage at God Wars? No one. So people want to spend their money on other things, most likely pertaining to God Wars, so they're not buying things like blood runes anymore for Dagonoth Kings. And that's why the prices right now are falling a bit. That's why I'm buying. It's a great time to buy blood runes. And so you can see that in the graph right here once again. Blood runes have pretty much been stable at 400 each for the longest time, and since release of God Wars, the price has fallen because Dagonoth Kings will no longer be the most profitable bosses to do, and that is why the mats are changing from blood runes to things like diamond bolts, brews, all the rest. And I believe that's all I have to say on how to correctly read and determine the price of an item. Once again, don't look at this recent trade price thing. I ignore it every time. I didn't even know it was there when I first started looking. I just looked at what people are buying and selling for, because this is always so wrong, and it's frustrating when I'm trying to sell something and people, or buy something and people are telling me, oh, it's worth this much. That's what it says on Zybez, and I can't explain to them through text how wrong that person is. Anyways, hopefully this was educational. That was the main purpose of this, to educate you guys. Get a more fair buying and selling price for your items. and make it easier for you to buy and sell those items more efficiently if you know the correct price. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next time.